Yo, I'm Leo. It's Music Monday. Today, I'm going to share some of my thoughts about classical music. I'm going to share some stuff I've been practicing lately, including a classical piece. And I'm going to share an update on some custom beats that I have been making for some of my viewers. Let's jump into it. So I recently found a new content creator I really like, and he does this format where he talks about stuff and then shows what he's been practicing. So I figured I'd try it this week. I'm not copying it forever. Cameron, if you're watching this, forgive me for grifting. I've just been ripping through your content, so it's fresh in my mind. And also, you got me thinking about classical music. So to sum up my thoughts on classical music in one sentence, classical music has been overrated for 200 years, and it's now getting its comeuppance. Okay, let me elaborate, because I hold a really deep respect for classical music. Hear me out. I am obsessed with music. I love music so much. It would take 100 podcast episodes for me to fully explain what music means to me. I'm sure lots of you can relate to that feeling, but I also have never taken a formal class on music. I have been playing the guitar for about 15 years, and it's a nylon string guitar, a Cordoba guitar, funnily enough. And I did take some lessons when I was about 12 or 13 for maybe 2 years. And I recently have been taking lessons from an old friend of mine for a few months. So I grew up with this perspective on classical music that maybe a lot of people share, which is that it was this elite, super competitive, super sophisticated, final frontier of music. It just felt a little uppity to me. At the same time, there were a few pieces that were really moving and that my parents really liked. There were friends of mine who played the piano and played classical music at a really high level, and I was really compelled and captivated by that. So I think I wasn't sure how I felt about it for a long time. Then I turned 20, and I entered this new chapter of my life where I completely fell in love with the pursuit of music and have been obsessed with pursuing all different kinds of music ever since. I started to learn music theory, and I'm now about a year deep maybe. I started to encounter a lot of these ideas about classical music from classically trained musicians that go a little something like this. The reason classical music is seen the way that I saw it before I got into music like this is because of the history of Eurocentricity and colonization that took Western styles of music, so classical music over the last couple hundred years, and kind of put them on this pedestal. That left kind of a bad taste in my mouth, honestly. I think it even more so pushed me toward this thought that, well, that's kind of fucked up. But at the same time, I started to have a better understanding of theory. And when I started to think about it with this analogy, I started to feel less biased, which is to say that learning music theory feels like learning a language, and that classical music, or sort of the Western tradition of classical music, is one dialect of music theory, and that jazz is another dialect, and that Eastern musical traditions are other dialects of music, and there's different ways of teaching these things and expressing them. It's descriptive like a language, not prescriptive like rules. And that started to open me up again to kind of think a little bit more critically and try to be unbiased in my approach, and to remember that there were some parts of classical music that I really was intrigued by from a young age. And then I found this channel called Sore Hands. So let me show you really quickly what I'm talking about here. Sore Hands, referencing the classical musician Fernando Sor.
Hey, this is Cameron, and welcome to the practice log. Whoa!
Whoa.
Yeah, it's another practice log, finally. Been getting to the practice. Have you been practicing? That's
I have
good.
been practicing.
So what you're going to see is last
I have.
night's practice. But I try to spin it in more of a inviting, and you should be studying classical, and not in a way where you're not good enough to study classical, so you have no right to play guitar. I've gotten a lot of emails and comments, too, of people saying that I've inspired them, or been a part of inspiring them to pursue classical, even just on top of their regular guitar practice.
It's true. Cameron, you have inspired me to get back into classical music. And I actually picked up the one classical piece that I ever learned when I was like 14 briefly, and kind of have been addicted to practicing it for the last week or two. This YouTube channel and also channels like Brandon Acker and some others have really helped to reintroduce me to classical music concepts and the useful and beautiful nature of classical music, despite the complex history. Let's move on to the second part of this video, which is to show you what I've been practicing for the last couple weeks, starting with my warm-up. Blackbirds singing in the dead of night. Take these broken wings and learn to fly. All your life you were only waiting. That's a nice thing about showing the practice, is that you can mess up. Dangerous recording without testing how it sounds, but oh well, that's how it goes up in here. Okay. I don't know how to pronounce the name of this piece. If you know, please let me know in the comments, or even what it's fully called. It's like Bourrée in E minor? No, okay. It's by Bach. This is like one of the classic first classical pieces that guitarists learn, I think, right? Bourrée in E minor. I think, right? Let's give it a whirl. Here you have it. It's definitely not perfect. Like I said, this is the only classical piece I ever learned. I learned it not as well as this, like when I was 14. Haven't played it a lot since, but in the last couple of weeks, I just felt motivated to revive it out of my memory. I think there's probably some of that that's wrong in there. I'm sure it's not the whole piece. I'll probably look up the tabs again soon. I can't really read music that well, I have to say. I know that's blasphemous, but I'm really interested to improve all of these skills and more. And honestly, I'm really excited to dive into classical, jazz, blues. I don't know. I think as long as you're doing what you feel passionate about, whether it's classical or not, you're probably in a good spot. Okay, there's a couple other things I want to show you that I've been practicing. This is something that I wrote that I've been playing and adding a little bit to here and there. Anyway, whoo, I love that. It's so pretty. Okay, so clearly I have some work to do, but I love playing the guitar, and I have some plans to try to record and share some guitar lessons that I take from my regular guitar teacher and maybe even from Mr. Sore Hands himself. So stay tuned. But hey, other than a guitarist, I'm also a producer, a singer-songwriter, a lyricist, an MC, among various other things. And I have been practicing production and lyric writing recently too. So on that note, I'm going to give an update on the beats that I'm producing for my viewers, the custom beats. And I'm also going to take a look at some collaborations that I have planned with another producer friend of mine, Jimmy IV/4. Shout out. Man has been cooking up beats, and he has some ideas for me to feature as a lyricist and MC. I'm super excited about that, so I'm gonna listen to some of those, work on some lyrics for them maybe. And yeah, I'm just gonna let the credits roll. I'm gonna put up a little progress bar for the custom beats I'm cooking up. Y'all, I just have been so in love with practicing lately. One of the things that is fueling my fire. So I'm gonna keep doing that. And if you'd like to, go ahead and join me and Cameron and the rest of the musical YouTube practicing crew, because I think there's a lot of us out here. I'm sure plenty of you are watching right now. I appreciate you. Roll the credits. See you next Monday. I'm here every Monday dropping stuff. Peep my other videos. Bye-bye.